Hi friends, and welcome to another vlog. So I've been filming a lot for the past 3 weeks, and I really just want to record my entire process and share it here, but I realized that in this particular vlog, I film more shots that are intended for a time lapse. As I was reviewing some of my footages, I just decided that I will go on ahead and put this as my vlog, as this work has been my entire process for the past weeks. So please bear with me on this one. I promise next time it will be a little bit more slice of life. And yeah, let's start. So this work has been on the back burner for a while. I have been showing this for the past 2 vlogs that I have uploaded, and it's been so slow. It has taken weeks and days for me to decide what to do about this work, and the reason for that is I don't know what this work will look like. So if you watched my recent video from a few weeks ago, you will actually know how I actually paint. And yes, I do plan my works ahead of time so that I won't have these kinds of problem where I don't know where to go. And I try to be as concise as I can. But I guess after some months of production using that process of intense research, intense color correcting, intense just doing things step by step, I just really got tired of it. I think I got tired of myself doing that. So I wanted to break free of my own process and try experimenting and doing other things. Now, this isn't really a new thing for me. I've done this kind of work rather, for some other paintings that I've done in the past. And my thesis for my final year at the university was actually mixed media paintings. But with those paintings, I think I used about 10 to, let's say, 50% are the mixed media parts, and 50 to 60% are the painted parts. So there are a lot more painted parts than the mixed media parts. Also, because of that thesis project, I have accumulated a wide collection of things like sequins, gems, and every colorful thing that you can imagine. Sometimes people just give them to me. Like, I had this friend before, she used to do bracelets, and all of her beads, she just wants to throw them out, so she just gave them to me. And for me, I find these things to be so interesting. They're so pretty, they're so sparkly, and they're so colorful, and I really love color in my work. And for this work, since I was looking at it at a painting perspective, I really wasn't feeling it. So I wanted to try and experiment with upping the percent of the mixed media, let's say about 70%, and lessening the painting parts. Honestly, I was just tired of painting and I was really stressed from the pandemic. I was experiencing many doubtful things and I kind of hit a wall. Like, I didn't know if I want to paint and I was always tired. So I just put it aside. So when I finished the painted parts, I just looked at it and I got the idea of wanting to stick stuff to the canvas, because usually when I'm super stressed, I clean and I check some of my stuff and I found boxes and boxes of these stuff. So I started with layering some glitters and I thought I would stop there, but I didn't. I just ended up putting a monstrosity of more stuff. Like, I found myself reaching out for things that I wouldn't usually put on the canvas. Usually I just put limited amount of gems and mixed media stuff just for, let's say, highlights and interesting aspects of the painting. But for this one, I was just reaching out for the things that I like, because I realized that since my collection is so wide, I had a lot of stones and I had a lot of colors and I wanted to see them all. And sometimes I just question myself because I really don't understand how I just arrive at these moments in my process. Like, I really don't know. It just happens. I also shut down part of my painting brain because I was tired of my inner critique telling me bad things about my painting. So I think a lot of artists can relate. If you've been painting or doing things for, I guess, years on, you will just develop this annoying inner critique that just wants to tell you that everything that you are doing is bad, and you just go into this correction mode. And when you're in that mode, it's just harder to concentrate and do good work. A way for me to distract my brain when I start going into correction mode is to try to shift things a bit and try to loosen up the control, because my painting style is very controlled, and I think back as I was editing this video, because it was somehow life-changing. I was kind of reminded of my past self in the university, because usually when I was doing works in the university, it was more of the experimental aspect. Like, you really don't have a foresight of what the work will look like. You would just have to do it. And it's a nice way to be reminded of that, because when you start doing things professionally or you start having shows, there's a lot more pressure and you think more about perfecting rather than enjoying. So taking a step back is really nice. And with this work, I was having control and no control at the same time. Like, I was controlling my actions, I was putting things, but I didn't think about it too much. I just picked up the gems that I like best, and I didn't think about the color pattern or whatever art element composition choo-choo that I learned, or some concept that is just bursting in my brain. Because usually as you do your work, you have to think about your concept, you have to think about the next step, and it's just super tiring. And sometimes when I get into this super controlled mode, I just burst into a mess, like super mess, and it doesn't look good. And usually I just stop and rest. And I recommend that you do that as well, because you really can't stop yourself from overthinking. And sometimes we just do that to ourselves. Like, we force ourselves to do this task, and if it doesn't end well, we end up frustrated. And that's just part of the process. With this work, I just simply refuse to look at it and judge it, because if I do that, I would have months again of inactive working, and that is not productive. And I really want to be productive this time because my deadlines are catching up, and I really want to create a work that I really like, not plan, just something that I really like, because I chose to be a painter or an artist because I really enjoyed this work. And trying to fight with the voices of doubts every time I paint, it's not a good experience. Like, I know a lot of people will relate, kind of having thoughts like, I'm so stupid, I put the wrong color, or this is so hard, replaying in our heads multiple times of the day. And sometimes it's really hard to stop undermining ourselves. So I guess for me, I just wanted to distract myself by not thinking at all and trying to focus at one gem at a time to pass the production time. And I was surprised because I was able to do this work for about 3 to 5 hours straight without stopping to even judge myself. Also, I think that's the reason why I forgot to shoot some stuff with me doing other things, because this was literally what I've been doing for the past 3 weeks, this entire painting. It's really good practice to take a step back and go with the flow. Because sometimes when you are creating or trying to make things, you can't avoid frustrations or any bad feelings. It just really happens. And for me, one of the things that I've noticed in my process is that when I go with the flow and I just do my things plainly without thinking too much about it, things calm down. And when things calm down, all of these bad thoughts, emotions, they pass. And a lot of things just pass like that. And the more I'm doing my work creatively, the more I'm finding it easier to try to channel my negative emotions into other things. Because as much as I want to be a productive person 24 hours, 7 days of the week, I don't think that's possible because people get tired mentally and physically. And especially in the pandemic, there's a lot of unknown mental tiredness. I don't know if a lot of you are experiencing that, but for me, trying to force myself into working more effectively and trying to perfect everything, plus the mental tiredness of the pandemic, it's taking a toll on me. So this painting has been my way to try to calm down the waves of emotions, like the bad emotions, the bad thoughts, just by trying to create something that I really find interesting and something that I like. And this is something that really surprised me a lot because I thought that a lot of my work that I planned or a lot of the work that I perfect, usually I think they're my best works. As I was doing this work, I realized that I really, really liked it, in the sense that I also want to continue it, maybe put 3 more canvases, because when I was looking at it finally, I looked at it and tried to criticize myself. The first thing that went on my head was, this is really fun, I need to do another one. So I was looking at the shapes of the painting and I kind of want to continue the hair of the lady and some of the shapes down below. I still have a lot of sequins and gems that I can do, and that's what I've been trying to figure out these past few weeks, is how to continue this work, because I think it's turning out to be something that I really think is gonna be a good work. And probably one of the things that I also realized while doing this work is how I look and judge my own work. So a lot of the concepts that I know about judging a work was learned from university, and I kind of think that it's a rigid way of telling what work is a good work, because if you've been to art school or any school that judges any kind of art, usually they look at your art at a very objective and subjective lens. How is this? Subjective in the sense that it's a professor judging you, and objective in the sense that each professor has their own objective of how they are going to judge your work. And primarily, as a student, you kind of form your ideas on what the professor says, because I think for me, it was because I didn't know how to judge my work yet. And I kind of relied on what they said. And usually, for my case, they just say that I should just continue what I was doing. And considering that I was very experimental before, I didn't know what I was doing. And now, probably about 4 years after the university, I'm kind of having the grasp of what I actually like and what I actually don't like. And I'm having thoughts about what does a good work mean to me. Because as a young person, we always judge our works on the basis on how people relate to them. As I'm doing this work, I'm kind of judging this work on how I relate to it as myself, as an individual who is creating the work. Like, I kind of took away the equation of trying to consider other people and trying to center myself and asking questions about my intention and my aesthetics and trying to figure out an answer on what I think a good work is. So while doing this work, I thought about probably, I think as of now, for me, a good work is a work of which you think it's good. And even if other people say it's not, it's fine, right? Does it make sense? What do I mean by that? Probably it's kind of like knowing that you did good work and it's enough. And sometimes, and a lot of times, artists, we want to have that validation, with their work, like high likes, high engagement, and stuff like that. But trying to lose yourself in that kind of environment kind of helps as well, because you get to put up a mirror in your work and you try to look at it from your own perspective and what do you really think about it, regardless if people hate it or like it. It's kind of your own view, and if for you it's a good work, then it's a good work, and if it's not, then you should move on and make another one. And trying to center your feelings on that, no matter what anyone says, it helps, because you can start to realize what are the avenues that you could start going with your work. It's kind of being, I remember some of my older professors saying, it's kind of like knowing your worth. Like, you know where you are, where exactly you are in your process or wherever you are, and you know how to judge it well. And this takes time, and it took me a lot of time to realize that I really didn't need the validation of others to realize what I can do, because I realized that a part of every bad feeling that I feel is because I want my work to be validated by other people. But that's not the case. If you realize that your work is good work, then it's good, and then you move on. And yeah, probably that's it. The things I learned from this work, trying to let go of the control to lessen the stress, and trying to realize what do I really think is a good work, regardless of what other people think. have comments, suggestions, or anything that you want to ask, just comment down below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and see you next time.
But I have swam in it, and it just might be the only